last year.
What?
I said, last year.
Last year. What? I thought it.
What day is it? I don't even know where I am anymore.
I don't. Where are they? All right, I'll be right back. Hold on.
Oh, I will entertain you too. Welcome back to the In Raw Life podcast. Today we are going to talk about why Sierra has lost her head. Y'all, it is cold in South Carolina at the end of April. And it's not that I mind the cold, but it's cold and I had to bring all my plant babies. I thought it was springtime and I thought I could buy plants. And now they're all inside my office with me. I just wanted to grow tomatoes. I hope they grow.
My gosh, I don't know where they are.
You don't know where any are?
Well, I know where the ones that plug in are, but I don't. Where my phone needs to charge, not be plugged in.
Oh, and because it's Apple, you can't do both at the same time.
Right, exactly. What? Oh, wait.
This is why I love Android.
Ah, I found them. They're right next to my water. You can love on Android all you want. That is the only flaw. The only one. Wait, where'd you go now?
That's my only flaw? Is that what you
No! That is Apple's
Oh.
flaw. Is that? Oh dear. What the heck? I don't see you anymore.
I see me and I see you. Can't help you there.
I don't see you. Can we hang up and call back?
Sure. I gave such good content to YouTube.
Oh, well. That'll just have to go in a blooper reel somewhere because I don't know.
Okay, hang up. Bye.
Okay, bye. Subtitles?
Yeah, the turn on subtitles.
Oh, is it recording? Hello. Hello, YouTube.
Do you want to turn on subtitles?
Sure.
Sure.
Nah.
That's what each other are saying.
What?
I wonder if it'll show like what
we're saying to each other.
I wonder if it'll like closed caption us as we're talking. Turning on subtitles. This is fun. P.S. Did you mean to not bloop, but censor last week episode? This week.
Oops.
It looks like, oh, okay.
Was it shit? I forgot to do a shit. Because I think asshole's okay. Like I figure if it's allowed on TV,
and then you made like a swoosh noise and then you didn't swoosh. You left.
Because I thought it was funny.
Okay.
I left this. I did that.
But that's whatever word I heard. I was like, oh, okay. I don't remember now.
I think there was a shit in there.
Captioning us as we're talking.
I don't see it.
And it beeped you. Oh, maybe it just doesn't be because when you said shit.
Because
we see your words. Oh, okay. In case I need to see you talking. I just wanted to test that out. Interesting. That's funny.
Yeah, well, I was listening to I listened to the Even the Rich podcast. Have I told you about this podcast? It's awesome. They go through the stories of the rich. They like Britney Spears and the Kennedys and Versace. And they cuss in it almost like what?
Super wide range of people.
It's all over the map. And they did the Royals too. But at the beginning, they don't have an explicit on their thing, but at the beginning they do a warning. If they curse.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's how they get away with not having to be explicit. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but then again, I know like Nikki listens to it with Lainey, so. But then again, I think Anthony probably has a potty mouth. I think in front of the kids, so whatever. We'll just keep doing what we're doing, and we can switch it up one day if we totally want to. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, let me test. Testing. Okay, it totally works. Okay, I'm ready.
Ooh, there's 2 birdies on
Can you get them with one stone?
What? No. That's me. Don't go eat my blueberry bush.
See? You don't have to kill them. You just have to knock them out of the bush.
I learned last night how birds have sex.
What were you watching?
We were watching some nature documentary about like how animals see color and like ultraviolet, and then they were showing like some bird. I think it was like a bird. I don't know what it was, where he gets like really big and green to show off to attract the female. And I was like, how do birds have sex? And Jed said, I don't know. Probably about the same.
It?
So I Googled it because I was like, how do they? It's not like there's like bird like penis coming out. So, so I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's just like something like slightly protrudes from each of them and it just rubs real quick and the transfer happens.
Wow, that is quick sex.
Yeah.
All
that like puffing and puffing just to like shoo!
Do they do it in flight or in stillness?
I think stillness. I mean, I guess it could happen in flight. I don't know. I didn't look that far into it. I was just thinking the actual, like, how does that work?
That's my bird sex. Woo!
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Do they smoke a cigarette afterwards? I have no idea. Okay.
I don't know.
But now you know that.
Now
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Ready?
1, 2, 3, record. Did you record?
Did.
Oh, you look so nonchalant about it.
Just have a button. Kind of like bird sex. It's quick. Anyway, 1, 2, 3.
I'll start. Yeah, hello? Did you go somewhere? Oh. Okay.
I've been here the whole time, Jessica. Jeez. I'm kidding. I slipped it. Maybe that's why. What is going on?
I was getting ready.
It looks like you're about to sneeze. Welcome back. God bless you.
This is why we can't have nice things here.
I know.
Welcome back to the In Raw Life podcast. We are so excited that you're here this week and a little nervous about what this topic is where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, I want to encourage all of you, as we encourage you weekly, to please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you are listening to this podcast, even if it's on YouTube. Because the more you rate us 5 stars and give us a rating, that shows everyone out there in the world that listens to podcasts, hey, this is a really cool podcast to listen to. And the podcast platforms will push us up to the top so that other people see us and then they'll listen too. And you can also share us on Instagram at inrawlife.co. You can text us to your friends and your grandmother and even your dog cousin.
There you go. All the places.
So that is what you can do for us. We show up every Thursday morning in your ears, and you can help us.
Unless you're in California, then it's late Wednesday.
There you go. But we could get into more ears if you did those steps. So we thank everyone who does that, everyone who's part of our community. Do more of what we love.
Mm-hmm. Nope, you covered it.
And again, before we get into this week's topic, what's your reality check?
I thought about it earlier. Now I've totally forgot it.
Raw, though. You're not supposed to think.
Well, I was like,
I'm just
I
kidding.
was just in a place of excitement, and I'm like, oh, I could share this from my reality, but now excitement has escaped me.
Well, you can just share that you're excited.
But I don't remember what I was excited about.
It's okay. Are you still excited?
No, I'm like, whatever.
Like,
My reality is that my emotions are ever changing. Actually, no, that'll give me a good reality. My reality is that I have finally come to a place where I understand that life is not always going to be perfect, but I am still so in love with life. Because I think when I was younger, I was like infectiously in love with life all the time. Everything was great. Life was great. I just was happy about everything. Then I got depressed and everything was awful. Life was awful. Everything was sad. And I used to pray that I would become infectiously in love with life again. And I had this doubt that that would ever be able to happen because I was like in the darkest place in the world. So how could I ever love life again? Like I felt like I was jaded and it would never come back. And now I've realized that it's a little mix of both. Like my younger, naive self wasn't completely right. My depressed self was completely wrong. Not that I was wrong, but my thought that this would be that it would be depressing and dark forever was wrong. And the reality is that life has hard things. And when you wake up with a healthy morning routine and you speak your gratitude, you do meditation, you do some form of getting your body moving, it puts you in such a good mental place that you are able to appreciate things all day long. And so the past few days have been kind of hard and I've been grumpy, but even still, like I'm totally in love with my life. And it's really cool to see that. I never thought you could have both. I thought you were either grumpy and life was miserable, or like things were really great and life was great. But now I'm realizing, no, life is always great. And some days I'm grumpy, and that's okay because I can't be butterflies and unicorn poop all the time. That's me, unicorn poop.
fun fact I learned from Emily yesterday: you can buy fossilized T-Rex poop.
That's
Not you.
disgusting. Why would you want that?
I don't know,
Well, there you
but
go.
but
But I'm not T-Rex poop. I'm unicorn poop. It's rainbow colored. Maybe that's me on my grumpy days. I'm unicorn poop on my grumpy days, and I'm rainbows on all the other days. And either way, it's still bright and shiny. It's just like some days are a little bit stinkier than others, and that's just the way life is. So, yeah, that's
so
my reality. What?
mine is kind of the same.
Really? Let me hear
Yeah.
it.
I mean, yeah, life, like things just feel really good right now. And I do have my healthy morning routine that I start my day with. I always start with gratitude. And especially the days where and it's only 5 minutes that I do gratitude for in the morning. But the days that I'm really, really specific on what I'm grateful for, those days go even better. But my life isn't perfect. I am still waiting to get that email saying, hey, you're divorced finally after 10,000 years. Still, I have relationships that I'm working on or things that I'm sad about. Emmeline has like bully issues at school, which annoys the crap out of me, but I'm so proud of how she's handling it. And yeah, like my life's not perfect, but I fully love my life.
Yeah.
And I know, and I was even just thinking this yesterday when I was in like a super good high mood, which I guess I still kind of am today. I was in the bathroom and I was like, I am so grateful that I always know that this is possible, especially in those moments where I'm feeling really grumpy about something. Because even in those moments when I'm feeling really grumpy, I say to myself, like, not forever. I know I'm going to get out of this. This is just a moment. This is just a day. I don't know how I got into this, and it's really annoying that I did, but it's going to be okay.
I was feeling the same way last night. Jay and I were kind of bickering, and I just paused and I thought about what Jen said. Wait, at this point, they won't have heard from Jen yet, right?
No, she won't. No, they won't.
I thought about what Jen said, who you will hear from in a future episode. That's to YouTube because they know. Wink. And she talked about how the conflict is never one-sided. It's like there's something going on with both of you, and it's about understanding the other person that helps you get through it. And so Jay was like, do you realize the way you talk to me is what I'm hearing all day? And I was like, oh, do you realize the way you talk to me is what I'm hearing all day? That's the real issue. We're just getting tired of people talking to us like that. And so being tired from that all day, we're snapping at each other, when instead, why don't we just say, hey, we haven't been talked to nicely all day by a 4-year-old or a boss, either way. Like, let's redo the narrative and start being kind to one another. And then we both like talked through it, and it was amazing. And it was just from the
Okay,
thought of like,
good. That was a good sentence.
what?
That because you said Jay started that. He said, "Do you realize that's how I'm talking to you all day?"
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, like we both are very aware of ourselves, and that has helped our marriage immensely by just being like self-aware. And that's why we get so annoyed when other people aren't. Like, don't you just realize that you are dwelling in all of your problems and taking it out on me instead of talking through it? Let's talk through it and be friends. Other people, not each other.
Yeah, other people.
Oh, those other people.
Well, I'm so glad that we both were on the kind of the same page too with our
Yeah.
reality check. That feels really good. I don't think we've done that quite yet, and that was nice.
No, that's true.
I'm grateful.
I'm grateful that it's such a peaceful and understanding and maybe even compassionate, or what's the word I'm looking for? What is that word?
I don't know.
Where you're like, you don't know where I'm going with, like, where you empathetic, not empathetic, but I guess compassionate. I'm glad that that was such a compassionate reality check, because we need a lot of compassion for the topic that we're about to explore.
Woo!
Lots of compassion needed.
This was not something that anyone has done a TED Talk on either. And I was like, ooh, we should do this TED Talk.
We'll be the ones to deliver this TED Talk.
I mean, I was able to kind of listen to things that helped give my mind ideas and like, oh, yeah. Or even like a few new ideas. But there's nothing on this specific thing. And I don't know if it's because no one wants to admit it or they just use different words for it.
Well, it's it sounds limiting because it's only for parents. And I don't know that they do TED Talks only for parents. Huh? Are we not talking about the same thing?
See, I thought you meant like for parents versus kids. No, there's tons of parenting TED Talks.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, today's episode is in honor of Mother's Day. So if you're not a parent, then I don't know what to tell you.
Have a parent, or you know parents, and or you may want to be one day. So it's all about, this is still going to come back to just kind of knowing ourselves and and being grateful, and also knowing when it's time to take action.
True. Okay, well, explain what the topic is, Jess.
So today's topic is seeing the worst of ourselves in our kids.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So that's a rough one, because it's admitting, one, that you have faults, and two, that you may be passing them on to your children, and three, I don't know what three is, knowing that you need to take some responsibility and figure out if and what to do about it.
Yeah. So the reason that we came up with this, I think, was because there was one day that Arrow and I were fighting, and he did something. This was months ago, and I was just like, oh, that's how I handle things. Like, it was just not pretty on him, and I know it looks even uglier when it comes out of a 30-year-old versus a 4-year-old. So yeah. But I don't know. Do you see that in Emmeline? Do you see her? What do you see? What do you see in Emmeline that you're like, oh, that's me?
So, and this is kind of hard because, excuse me, this is kind of hard because some of the things that I see in her that I didn't or don't like in myself are not actually faults. They're just who we are.
Yeah.
Like the fact that she is pretty unique kid and feels different than her peers, or like she's kind of she kind of feels, I think she feels kind of like an outsider-ish. Oh, that's my dryer. Give me a minute.
Oh.
Which is finally working properly. So I gave it like a big hug and said thank you this morning. Fingers crossed.
You're grateful for your working dryer.
You have no idea. So yeah, I think she kind of feels like an outsider, or like she doesn't belong always. She's always talked about how she's unique. She loves being unique, which I never said it out loud when I was her age, but I thought it. And I definitely felt not like one of the popular kids. And she's okay with it. She brought it up to me a few weeks ago about how she's like, I'm not popular. And I said, do you want to be? She said, no. I said, okay, great. But just like knowing that feeling inside of what it was like to be the outsider as a kid, now I'm like, that may be the coolest person ever. And I know she's going to be the coolest person ever. But as a kid, it doesn't feel great. So seeing that, and it's nothing to fix. It's nothing wrong. It's not a fault. It's just knowing that she's going through it. So that's hard. But things that I see that I know I put that there are like we moved in with Jed less than a year ago. And so there's growing pains for all around. And if I make a snarky comment about something, whether he's there or not, she picks up on that. She's like, so then she's snarky about him now, whether he's here or not. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, crap. And so now I'm trying to fix it. One, stop doing it myself. And two, talking to her, not reprimanding her because she doesn't know any better. She sees me doing it, so of course she can do it. And like helping her understand, listen, I really shouldn't have said that ever, let alone in front of you, and we need to work on this. So
I feel like, well, for me, mine are less things that I've put there and more things that are like natural that are still not necessarily great, which maybe I put it there. But like when I get mad, like my whole body is just tense and angry, and like I just want to release it somehow, and the best way to do that is to yell or slam a door.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a little bit of that in Emlyn because I mean, when I was little, and I don't think I put this there either. So it might be like a genetic thing. I don't know if this is genetic. But yeah, when I was little, I would, especially when I was younger, I would go off, slam doors. And even now, like sometimes I can do that, and then I stop myself. Like, this is really the wrong thing to do. It feels so good.
I know.
But and even I still remember when I was little, like I would, like, oh, stop that, and you like hit somebody, like, and it's like playful. But I think I was more than playful. Like I was too hard, and I think I was like overcompensating for the fact that I was little. Aww. And I still remember, younger than Emlyn, a friend talking to me saying, hey, I don't like when you do that. And I stopped ever since then. And I think Emlyn does that, which I don't think I taught her.
Right, because you don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Am I one of them?
That's so funny. There was one time so talking about how like self-aware me and Jay were earlier, I don't know if because we're self-aware and we have those conversations a lot that it's made Arrow self-aware, or if he's like a 60-year-old in a 4-year-old's body. Either way.
Yeah,
there's one time, it must be because we talk about it and we're so open. So like they realize that dialogue is healthy. But there's one time that he came in and he was just fired up and he was shouting and yelling and he was just so angry. And I was like, Arrow, like don't be mad at me. I have to call you in or whatever I did. And he's like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just upset. And I was like, oh, wow. Like thank you for taking the blame off of me, because again, like that's what we naturally do. We're like, oh man, they're mad. And I'm very much a put the blame on myself and try to fix it, make it better, which I feel like we've talked about that before. But he instantly took the blame off of my shoulders and was like, this doesn't have to do with you. I'm just upset. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. That was so advanced of you, and I
Sure of you.
appreciate that knowledge, so I can just help you to become less upset instead of trying to
Or allow you the
be
space.
victim. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fixer. I do need to allow space more often.
I'm a fixer too, and yeah.
And now Arrow is a fixer. So like when Gray cries, he's like, no, don't cry. Here's your passy. What do you need? Let's make it work. And I'm like, you can just let him cry. He's just a little upset, bud. And he's like, no, like, he needs food. What do you need? Do you need food? Do you want your shoe back on? What do you want?
Oh, so cute.
It's adorable. Like just, oh, I love their relationship.
One of the TED Talks I watched was about teaching emotional intelligence to kids. It
So
was
fascinating.
I think she was Australian, and I have no idea how to pronounce her name, but like Lael Stone.
Sure.
But she was talking about it, and she also had a moment like that. She had like a 5-year-old was super upset about something, and she gives this whole like 10 minutes talking about, you know, teaching emotional intelligence and being there and listening to them, and then and you know, modeling for them, like they can't be what they don't see. So like modeling the correct behavior that you would like them to have and take on. And she said, all of a sudden I was cooking dinner and I really didn't have time, and I could see that my 5-year-old was upset. I really need to cook dinner, but like I need to go give her space to be upset and like listen and not fix it. And then her 10-year-old comes in and says, I've got this, Mom. And her 10-year-old, and she can hear them talking in the other room, and her 10-year-old saying the same things that she says when they're upset, and like giving them space and asking them how they feel and yada. And the 10-year-old fixes it, or you know, like helps it. And and she comes out, and the mom says like that, you know, like how good that was. She said, I was just doing what you do.
Oh,
I know. So whether it's, you know, intrinsic or not, they see it somehow.
Yeah.
Whether we realize some things are so habit to us.
Yeah.
Or it comes out in a different way in them, so it's hard to tell, like, oh, that was me. It's more obvious when they shout out the F-bomb, because you're like, oh, crap, it's all the time. They got that from me. It's not on, like, you know, I was about to say Looney Tunes. Like, it's not on Sesame Street.
It might be on Looney Tunes. They got away with a lot of stuff back then.
Like, yeah, when it's aggression or sarcasm or whatever it is, or not listening, or if a kid's not listening to us, do we listen to them? Like how we model and show it to them, they might show it back to us in a different way, but they're learning it somewhere.
Sorry, I had to take my boots off. They were really hurting me.
I just, even yesterday morning, like we've had a few really good weeks, Emmeline and I, and just yesterday morning, we were in the car driving to school, and it's like a 2-minute drive to school and a couple minutes waiting in the car for her to get out. And something came up. Maybe it was about the bullying, maybe it was about something else. And we're talking, and I was like, you know, I'm reading the book The Obstacle is the Way right now, about how anything that seems like an obstacle is really showing you the path that you need to be taking. Like there is no such thing as obstacles, basically. And I kind of explained the concept to her in 8-year-old terms, or 8-year-old Emmeline terms. And then afterwards, and we kind of talked about some other things. And I was like, "Do you understand that? Does it make sense?" She's like, "Yeah, totally." And then as I left her at school, I was driving home. I was like, "She's gonna be the coolest person, like most mentally and emotionally well person ever." Because, and who knows? But because like I'd have these talks with her, and I explain to her now, and she sees me working on myself, and I tell her all the time I'm not perfect and I'm working on myself, and that's why I do these things and learn and grow. Like she's going to be so far ahead of everyone else because she's getting this information now as an 8-year-old. How cool is that?
I was thinking that because I keep getting these reels on Instagram about these kids being good big brothers or whatever the case may be. And one example was this little kid his brother was sad, and he went over and he's like, "It's okay, just take a deep breath," you know. And I think that, I mean, I'm sure that big brothers have always loved their little brothers since the beginning of time. But I feel like our generation talks about that stuff more often. We remind ourselves to stop and breathe. We aren't the just push through and make it happen and put on a front kind of generation anymore. And I don't know what shift caused that, but I'm grateful for it. And so our kids are saying the same thing. So I think that when we ourselves are able to be self-aware and try to approach things from a mentally healthy standpoint, that is a mirror to our children. They see that and then they take that on, and they're absorbing everything. Like, we're learning that as adults, like, oh, maybe we should admit when we're not doing well and be okay with having to pause and take a breath. But we're having to like rewrite the things we've been taught as kids, whereas our kids don't have to rewrite anything. They're learning it and absorbing it, and now they get to create this mentality of approaching something from a more healthy perspective.
I wouldn't go as far to say they won't have to rewrite anything, because we're not perfect.
Not anything.
But it will be interesting to see what develops and how they actually are and handle things as adults, if this is really like the way. I was thinking, I listened to like 4 different TED Talks, and I was thinking, everyone talks about there's no handbook for parenting. There's plenty of parenting books out there. There's lots of information, lots of different information, opposing ideas. There's no actual handbook, but the handbook is caring about being a good parent and doing your research and finding what it is that resonates with you and that you put into action. And if it's not working, being able to go back and do more research or reading or figuring things out and changing it then, and admitting, hey, I'm not perfect either. Like, I was never one of those kids that thought my parents were perfect, but they were definitely, they were the adults. And I was like, oh, they must have their stuff together in some sort of way, or I have to listen to them. And they weren't. My dad wasn't overbearing, and I didn't look at him as perfect, but he was my dad and an adult. But then as I got older, I even said to him when he was here the other week, I was like, I always thought, oh, well, they're my parents. Like, they know everything, and they're good at it all. Like, they've got it figured out in some sort of way. And now I'm that age, and I'm the parent. I'm like, dang. Like, do you ever feel like you've got it going on? And my dad was like, nope.
See, now I would disagree with the fact that you should do research, because I think a lot of times research breeds fear and self-doubt. Not saying don't ever research, but what?
And it depends on your personality and what you're researching and how you take things.
Right. So I'm giving the other perspective for the personality, that I think a lot of times there are people that put way too much pressure on themselves because the research is conflicting. So if that is you, where you're like, I don't know what to do. This person says, like, don't sleep with my babies. This person says co-sleeping is the only way. Like, I think in that case, you have to also tap into your intuition and figure out, like, what is your heart telling you to do? What is you care, like you said, the number one thing is to care for your child. I completely agree with that. Like, if you care about your child, you're going to take steps in the proper direction to do what's best for your child. Sometimes those will be mistakes, and sometimes they'll be huge wins. But as long as your care is at the forefront, the next steps are going to do something for the benefit of the child. If it is researching, then you find what you think is best and you're implementing that and trying to do what's best. If the research is causing you anxiety and anguish, then maybe let the research go and trust your gut more, is what I was going to say. The one book, I don't read much, but the one parenting book that I read was Bringing Up Bébé, and it's how the French raise their babies. And it talked all about how in France there's no parenting magazines, there's no parenting books. Like, people just do what they trust their gut, and there's a lot less anxiety around parenting. And I love that approach personally.
Yeah.
But I had another thought on something else you said, was about, we're talking about rewriting their, I don't think that babies, I don't think that our kids are not going to have to rewrite anything. I'm just saying, they're going to be, I feel like they're going to be, if you yourself are self-aware and trying to better your own mind, I think that the babies that we're raising will be that much further ahead. And so I think there's other things that they'll have to rewrite. And I think sometimes, our generation has possibly gone too far, where we're too soft, or we don't say no when maybe we should say no more often. And so there's definitely other things that they'll have to account for. but I just love when a child is given the ability to like not just be seen and not heard, but to be heard and to be able to express themselves and then to be met with, oh, that's what you're feeling? Okay, that feeling is valid. Because I think it's really easy to be like, oh, you're 5. Like, whatever. Of course you're crying because it's raining outside and you want to go out and play. Well, you know what? I can't control the weather, so get over it. And I'm not like, I've done that before where I just get so frustrated because I can't control the weather. And that's one more thing that you've cried about today. And I don't have the mental capacity to deal with one more thing.
Mhm.
But if we're able to like take a breath and see like, okay, well, he's sad that he didn't get to go outside today because he was really looking forward to whatever, like whatever it is, even if it's silly in our minds, it's something that's so important to them. And if we think about the last time we were that excited to do something and when our spirits got crushed, like it's a bummer. So I think we can, I don't know, in those moments of frustration, try to approach it from a place of compassion and remembering what they're going through, even though it's really hard to remember being that excited about playing with bubbles or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. One of the this wasn't a TED talk, but this was just a YouTube video that came up with me kind of like looking around. And it was, I don't even know her name, but her channel is Be the Change Parenting.
Okay, I like it.
And the video was titled I Hate My Child. I was like, oh. So I watched that one too, and she was talking about, like, it's totally valid. Like, it's okay if that thought crosses your mind sometimes. We're allowed to have those feelings too. It's not that you actually hate your child, number one.
Right.
But we're allowed to have those feelings, and I would almost bet on the fact that 95% of parents, if not 100%, that thought has crossed their mind, not a conscious thought, but it just crossed their mind like on a ticker tape real quick, at least once. Or some version of it. Because when you get frustrated, like, and we're so used to saying I hate blank when it's not real hate. Like, so it was good. And I mean, it was, some good stuff, but the main thing that I got from it was towards the end, she was saying that she fully believes, which we've talked about before, we were given these kids for a reason. Like the exact one child or many children that we have was for a reason. One, because each of us, like Emmeline and I, for example, and I needed Emmeline for whatever reason. She needed me for whatever reason as a mom. And when it comes to our faults as parents or as humans who happen to be parents, whatever is going on, like whatever the stressor is in a parent-child relationship, this is the perfect moment to work on that, whatever that obstacle is. So this is God saying, like, and I'm getting all faithy, which is different for me. Like, this is, whatever saying, here is what you need to work on. Like, this problem is because it's something that you need to work on no matter what. Here's this beautiful child.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, too, to go back to, like, the I hate my child, like, I don't think I've ever thought that thought, but it comes up in different ways. Like you said, like, I've thought, why did it's gone anywhere from I'll never get along with him. Our personalities are so different. Why did I even marry Jay? Because of course I would produce the exact same person as a tiny human. And I have a hard enough time dealing with him as an adult, but at least I get to have sex with him. Like, whoa, that sounded terrible.
No,
I mean, like, there's a lot.
Well, I was just there.
There's an intimacy with my husband, so it makes up for the things that are hard to forgive. With a child, I'm just like, well, you are just annoying. But I've been in that point with Arrow. I'm not anymore. But in that moment, I'm like, what am I doing? And I had to really work on it and figure out how to deal with this frustration, because we have opposing personalities. And it was actually talking to Dana, his teacher, and she told me, like, she just talked about how I don't even remember the phrase that she said, but basically she just said, like, yeah, you guys are different personalities or whatever. And the way she said it made it seem like he is a human, a full human with full emotions. He's not a tiny human with tiny emotions that haven't developed yet. he's full human. He's just in a tiny body. And so if I approach him like any other human in the world, not just as a 4-year-old, then I'm able to see like, okay, well, like these are his feelings and he's like, those are valid. That's how he feels. And I've got to let him have that space to feel that way. I don't feel that way. We're going to be different. We have different opinions, and that's allowed because like, yes, we're parents and yes, like our rules go or whatever. But I think just because we have these rules doesn't mean that they're not allowed to wish other rules or desire other things. And yeah, they have to follow the rules if they're in our house, but they're allowed to not like them. Like, just like we don't like some of the rules of our government. We still have to follow them, but we're allowed to not like them. And so I think it's about seeing our children as humans with feelings that are different than ours and allowing them to have different feelings, because those different feelings are going to help them go forward in the world and do the great things that they need to do. But if we smush those feelings and tell them their feelings aren't valid, then we're putting a cloud of shame over them, or, quieting their voice. And that hinders them from doing all that they're made to do. But we can't be made alike, or how are we all going to make our own difference? We have to be made different.
First of all, apparently you extra get to work on whatever it is. That's that's different between you and Jay, because you got the clone. So it's like
Wait, what?
I was saying, apparently you really needed to work on whatever it is, like the differences between Jay, because then you got Arrow too.
Yeah,
that was
the clone.
My other thing, I was thinking about this before too, is the best example I can give for this is the mom who is strong-willed and was told that she was bossy when she was little, and now she has a clone of herself. But this can be for any personality type.
Sure.
So many of us, and I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, so many of us look at that and say, oh, well, this is my punishment and I have to deal with it, and either squash them or change them or let them be. And I think that we can, again, look at them as, okay, this is a tiny human. This is perfect because I was her almost exactly when I was little. So what do I wish would have been different? What can I do that can be the change? Or am I cool with her growing, going exactly through what I did? Or like people who justify spanking their kids because they got their ass whooped when they were little. Okay. Do you complain about the fact that you're saying, well, I got mine whooped when I was little? Sound like you might not think that sounds like a complaint, but it sounds like a complaint that you, in some little part of you, did not appreciate that and don't think it was good. So why are you going to do the same thing? Like we don't have
flip side, if you feel like you learned from it and it actually shaped you, then maybe that's okay. Like you said, you have to look at it like from what perspective did it give you? Did it help you become disciplined, or did it scare the living hell out of you and make you afraid of men, or whatever the case may be? And yeah, I feel like that is such a valid point. Like if you approach it from how you felt in that same situation, it gives you a lot of insight as to how to treat your own child in that same situation.
And then if your child's completely different than you've got to work to figure out how it is that they human.
I'll say, like, even though Arrow is very much Jay, I'm excuse me, the older he gets, the more I'm able to see parts of me as well. So Jax is having a nightmare. Text and pick up, it's okay. So yes, Arrow is OCD and he likes things to be, put back the way they were, and he follows the rules exactly as they are. But those are beautiful things too. And I have learned to accept, like, okay, I have to just let him finish putting away the things instead of rushing out the door. That's a good thing. We'll come home to a clean house instead of being frustrated that we're running late or whatever the case may be. Yeah. And then when I'm able to slow down and appreciate the sides of him that are different than me, then I'm actually able to see the sides of him that are the same as me. And so we've become a lot closer since I've like slowed down and been present with him. And now, like, I see, oh, he's got my goofy. Jay is goofy, but he's got my level of goofy, and I love it. And he's got comedic timing, like physical timing. I'm like, I think that's mine, because Jay is not really physically comedic. Maybe he is. I don't know. But either way, like, I see these little other parts of me that I'm like, oh, I love that. I love, like, you're a performer and you're cute and funny, and I'm cute and funny, so that's me.
And remember, because Emmeline is so literal, which I
Mhm.
really know where she gets that from. I don't think I'm literal, am
I think you're a little literal. I think you're a little literal.
I? I think a little, but not like so
Yeah, I
exact.
think you're so.
But she's so literal. So she, in her mind, she's like, well, I got my curly dark hair from you, but I got my eyes are my dad's. I'm like, yes, you have brown eyes like your dad. Like, you're allowed to have some of these things are just you, and that's okay. Like
Mhm.
personality traits too. Some of their things are just them, and that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking about Arrow. And now even Gray. Gray's funny because he was just a baby for so long, and babies are like doddly doddly. And then he started doing these things. I'm like, what is this? You know, is he getting attention? Is he like seeking attention because Arrow gets attention all the time? And now I'm like, no, this guy is just a character. Like Gray is a
Mm-hmm.
a character
He
actor.
gets it from me.
And it's funny. It's interesting to see. And I don't like Jay and I were not siblings, so we have no idea what our personalities look like in a sibling situation. So it's even more exciting to see their dynamic, and it's really cool. Yeah, you're right. Some of them are just them.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's funny especially when Emmeline was younger, my dad and I used to say, she is me if I would have been a firstborn or an only child. Now she's totally so much more than that. But that was,
Yeah.
I was talking with a parent in Emmeline's Girl Scout troop the other day when we were on a walk. And I was saying, we were talking about how like birth order matters and like how that really does change dynamics and who you
Hmm.
are. But also, your personality is what it is, then like that can totally do something to it.
Yeah.
Humans are so fast.
I know. We really are. Did you want to go through the list of things that we never thought we'd say?
Oh, that's what we were gonna do. I forgot. I was trying to come up with it.
I wrote some
Yeah,
down.
I didn't remember to write any down, so I don't remember what I said the other day.
It has something to do with the chicken? No, that
Let
wasn't
me
me.
let me look it up real quick. That
Okay,
was
I'll
fun.
pull see if I can find mine. Um,
Because I text you whatever it was, right?
yeah,
I do like that we can search.
yeah. Oh, I gotta pee. I don't think it's saved on I gotta X out of my phone real quick. Still here, YouTube.
What would I have said? Oh, I think I remember
Um,
what it was about. Yep, yep. It did involve a chicken.
it did. Okay. Oh my God. What is it?
Okay. Things we never thought we'd have to say ever in life.
Hmm.
Give me the rubber chicken and get out of the shower.
Yes, it was. Oh man.
Oh, never
I
thought
had
those words would cross my lips all together.
I had we do not put shoes in our food, which is still just so gross to me. Like the thought of like you
Mhm.
walked in the backyard where the dog poops. But mine were more ridiculous things that are just my creations, like or the kids' creations. I said, okay, well let's put your foot on.
Uh,
Or where the heck is his foot? Because Gray, you can say, hey Gray, say shoe, and he goes, foot. You can say foot, and he'll say foot, and you say shoe, he says foot.
Jed calls shoes feet.
Really?
He says, go get your feet. Or I gotta get my feet on.
Yep. So the other day I was screaming like, where is his foot?
Yeah, I never thought you'd say that. I never thought I would say, please don't lick
I never thought I would say, ooh, I just want to bite your tutor.
the dog.
He's just got that cutest little squishy butt, and I just want to bite it. to bite his leg.
Oh,
Also,
you
I
are.
never thought I'd want to bite a child. I'm what?
You are so a biter, though. I remember
That's
before
true.
you and Jay, like, or you would go up to him and just like bite his shoulder.
That's true. I totally forgot about that. I left bruises
Are we
on him
really
before.
surprised about that?
I
And
guess
are we
not.
going to be so surprised when all of a sudden you're getting a complaint that your child is biting other children?
I know. I'm nervous about that.
Just like, I'm sorry, it really isn't out of aggression. It's because he loves them so much.
I can't. We have a gene where we can't help it, and we have to bite because we just love.
Well, there is
Harold
research
doesn't.
behind like why we just want to like squeeze or bite our babies.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of anything
That's
else.
all I got.
We had, I don't know. I don't want to throw my kid under the bus like how you said in the other week. Like, I don't want to like. It's not bad, but it's just kind of. Does she really want the world knowing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. We got some funny ones out there. Send us your funny things that you never thought you'd say. Comment below.
Yeah.
If you're on
Ooh,
YouTube,
I just got
or
a really good idea that we're going to talk
DM us.
about.
What?
I just got a really good idea for content after we stop this.
Noted. Okay, well, I think we should wrap it up because I have to pee. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us on this extra special Mother's Day episode. And thank you for continuing to come back. Thank you also for listening if you're not a parent and you just found this topic interesting anyway. Please also comment or send us a DM on Instagram about that. If you feel like you found something interesting and you're not a parent, I want to know what that is. And you can find us on Instagram at inrawlife.co. You can also be a part of a show by sending us a clip of what it means to be a better human. Nope, that's old. That's so 2020. You can send us a clip of what strength means to you to podcast@inrawlife.com, and we may feature you at the beginning of a show.
Until next week, we hope that you delve into your little humans if you have them in your life, even if you're a teacher or you have nephews and nieces, somebody that you interact with regularly. We hope that you see them as the amazing whole human beings that they are. Delve into yourself a little bit and see what it is that you are being told you need to work on by the universe, God, whatever it is out there. And if you have a rubber chicken, just leave it outside of the shower. Bye.
Okay, I have to. Oh, I gotta stop over here. I gotta pee super bad. Super bad. So.
Super bad.
Super bad.